Okay, transpilation. Transpiling means code from a high level language gets converted to another high level language. Transpiling in Angular is the process to convert the TypeScript into JavaScript. Then the next is interpolation. Interpolation refers to embedding expression into marked up text. The interpolation uses the double curly braces, start curly braces and end curly braces as the delimiters. So if we see here, we have rendered my name variable in our template. Okay, so the next is modules in Angular. So in Angular, a module is a mechanism to group components, directives, pipes and services that are related in such a way that can be combined with other modules to create an application. The module is a class which decorates using ngModule decorator. ngModule decorator takes an object which consists of imports, exports, declarations, bootstrap and providers. Here if we can see, we have declared this class app module and we have decorated it using this ngModule decorator, which takes this object. This object consists of imports array, declarations array, providers array, bootstrap and exports array. Okay, then next is a property binding. The property binding, to bind to an element's property, we enclose it with square bracket like this. In HTML we have bind bind this item image URL property to the image element using this open and the curly braces. Then we have attribute binding. The attribute binding syntax resembles the property binding, but instead of an element property between brackets, we precede the name of attribute with the prefix attr followed by dot, like this, attr dot callspan in our example. The next is event binding in Angular. So this is the event binding syntax. To bind to an event, we use the Angular event binding syntax. This event binding syntax consists of target event name within parentheses like this, click or handle click to the left of equal sign, and quoted template statement to the right like this. Okay, so the next is view encapsulation. In Angular, a component style can be encapsulated within the component's host element so that they don't affect the rest of the application. The components decorator provides the encapsulation option, which can be used to control how the encapsulation is applied on per component basis. There are three modes of the view encapsulation, that is shadow DOM, emulated and none. Emulated is a default mode of a style encapsulation. As we see here in a component decorator, Angular provides us this encapsulation property and its value is a view encapsulation. The default value is a view encapsulation dot emulated. Okay, so we'll go through these three encapsulation modes. First is a view encapsulation dot shadow DOM. Angular uses the browser's built-in Shadow DOM API to enclose the component's view inside a shadow root and apply the provided styles in an isolated manner. Then the second, which is default, view encapsulation dot emulated. Angular modifies the components CSS selectors so that they are only applied to the components view and do not affect other elements in the application. And the third is view encapsulation dot none. Angular does not apply any sort of view encapsulation, meaning that any style specified for the component are actually globally applied and can affect the HTML element across the application. Okay, then next is a content projection. The content projection is a pattern in which we insert or project the content we want to use inside another component. Here, everything passed within app demo element will be projected in place of ng component, like this. Here we have written this ng content element, and while rendering this app demo component, if we pass any content within this app demo element, it will get rendered instead of this ng content. Then, and this is also called as a single slot content projection. Then we have multi-content projection. So in a multi-slot content projection, a component can have multiple slots. Each slot can specify a CSS selector that determines which content goes into that slot. So here in our example, we have this three slots. First is a question directive, the second is h1 element, and the third is text class. And in HTML we have this question directive added to the paragraph element. We have this h1 element, and then we have this paragraph element which is having text class. So this paragraph will goes to this content slot. This h1 element goes to this content slot, and this text class paragraph will goes to this content slot. Then next is a component. The components are the most basic UI building block of Angular application. An Angular app contains a tree of Angular components. Angular components are a subset of directives and always associated with a template. Then the component decorators that marks a class as an Angular component and provides a configuration metadata that determines how the component should be processed, instantiated, and used at runtime. As we can see here, we have declared one component named component, and we have decorated it using this component decorator, and this is the metadata for component, which includes the selector, then template URL, style URL, scan encapsulation, and provide. These are commonly used metadata properties for components.